couple injured in an Uber crash were blocked from suing due to an Uber Eats account they say their daughter used to order pizza. This is the People magazine article on the whole situation. An appeals court recently ruled that a New Jersey couple injured during an Uber ride can't publicly sue Uber due to one of the plaintiffs having agreed to the company's terms of use agreements before the accident. In court documents obtained by People, a New Jersey Superior Court dismissed plaintiffs Georgia and John McGinty's complaint and reversed a lower court's previous ruling to have their injury lawsuit handled by a jury. We hold that the arbitration provision contained in the agreement under review, which Georgia or her minor daughter, while using her cell phone, agreed to, is valid and enforceable, the court determined, citing Uber's terms of use agreements that say legal matters must be handled privately between the plaintiffs and Uber, along with its subsidiary Riser LLC. The couple, who sustained several injuries in the March 2022 crash when their Uber driver ran a red light and T-boned another vehicle, resulting in extensive damage to the car they were in, had argued they didn't agree to the terms of service. The McGinty's claimed that their preteen daughter may have accepted the terms via the Uber Eats app while ordering pizza. Court documents reviewed by People said that Georgia, now 51, or her daughter, had signed up for Uber in June of 2015 and agreed to terms 3 times from that date until January 2021, all before the 2022 crash. Prior to requesting an Uber platform such as Uber Rides or Uber Eats, the user must agree to Uber's terms of service, the documents read. Throughout Georgia's relationship with Uber, she has agreed to Uber's terms of use, including the arbitration agreement. The terms of use were modified on January 18, 2021, and again on December 16, 2021. Uber spokesperson commented on the daughter's involvement to CNN. While the plaintiffs continue to tell the press that it was their daughter who ordered Uber Eats and accepted the terms of use, it's worth noting that in court, they could only surmise that that was the case, but could not recall whether their daughter ordered food independently or if Georgia assisted, the Uber spokesperson told the outlet. People reached out to Uber for comment about the case's developments and the pizza order claims, but did not immediately hear back. The McGinty's are heartbroken by the court's ruling, they told CNN. Court documents detailed the extent of the couple's alleged injuries. Plaintiffs suffered serious physical, psychological, and financial damages, the court order read. Georgia sustained cervical and lumbar spine fractures, rib fractures, a protruding hernia, traumatic injuries to her abdominal wall, pelvic floor, and other physical injuries. She's undergone numerous surgeries and other evasive procedures. Georgia, a matrimonial attorney, was out of work from the March 31st, 2022 accident until April 1st, 2023, the order further recited, before detailing her 58-year-old husband's injuries. John sustained a fractured sternum and several fractures to his left arm and wrist, the document stated. He underwent open reduction and internal fixation with a bone graft to address the arm fractures, and has diminished use and sensation in the left wrist. McGinty's lawyer, Evan Lead, told the New York Times that they plan to appeal the appeal court's decision. Nobody read those agreements, and Uber knows that, Lid said, adding that Uber has stolen my client's constitutional right to a jury trial. I mean, this is straight out of the Disney Plus playbook. It sounds like all of these companies are doing it, and I think the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because as sick as it was then, and Disney backed off because of the public pressure here, and I'm sure Uber is not going to do the same thing, there's a real fear and concern that people need to have about how companies are moving right now. That's once, there's a phrase that, my dad always used to say, once is he still says it now, he's still alive, but once is an instance, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. This is only the second time we've seen this, but I bet if you go digging into other companies' terms of service that they probably all have the similar verbiage right now. And what's fucking terrifying about this is, A, there are times when we really need to go listen to comedy a lot more. This is something that South Park covered in the Human Centipede episode, which is fucking hilarious. But B, companies genuinely need to be held accountable more. You know what I would really love to see either of the presidential candidates. Obviously, I'm preferring that Kamala address it because that is who I'm pulling for. I've never hidden that. But either of the candidates to try and address, man, this kind of bullshit-ass verbiage language, I understand that that's what, the laws here in America provide. It's a capitalist society. We can do that. But just like we saw the awesome move from the Department of Transportation, the Biden administration, that airlines can't do these bullshit fees anymore, that they have to give you returns, if flights are canceled for overbookings or anything else like that. I would love to see the end to this bullshit of being able to slip stuff in here, because what you're doing in bad faith, in truly bad faith here, You have a situation where your employee fucked up. That's what insurance is for. Your employee fucked up. And whether you want to call him an employer or an independent contractor, because Lord knows Uber loves to try and separate that bullshit out too. You are actively finding a way to fuck over people. It'd be one thing if they were trying to extort Uber for something crazy, but hearing all of these damages, how much they lost in work, let alone the pain and suffering because of someone irresponsible driving a car for Uber, that they can't go and get their constitutional right to a jury trial is fucking crazy. It is absolutely insane. It's one of those things that if you wanted to make that argument one way or the other about how things go specifically in like maybe when you're employed by somebody and you're signing a work contract, we could have a different conversation about that. But this idea that if I go and get a service that you are actively going to do something to potentially harm me or fuck me over when I was the one that was hurt using your product, that's absolutely crazy to me. Again, there's going to be people in the comments that are probably going to say, yo, this is America, that it is what it is. That's what lawyers are for, all that kind of stuff. But that's where I'm drawing the line as far as like some morality shit. And I need all of us to get ourselves in a position where we are not allowing this bullshit to fly. It's going to be hard. Lord knows there's Legal Eagle and all sorts of people on here. I would hope some lawyers will go through and as a public service, just let us know who's put this bullshit in their terms of service contracts, because they're also too long and too wordy. None of us are lawyers except for the ones that aren't. Even the lawyers I know don't read that shit. And then we just got to start, as crazy as it sounds, we just got to start boycotting the companies that do this shit, because this is unacceptable. It is why we are in the inflation crisis that we're in is not because of some administration. It's because of greedy fucking companies taking advantage of the little guy. That is always what this is. And Uber's been doing this from the jump, man. Because remember, they're just like what Netflix did. Their goal has been to destroy the taxi cab industry. And once it was done and they had their grips on it, to turn around and just ream prices. If you notice how expensive Ubers and Lyfts are at this point, now that taxis, like, they still exist, but they don't exist the way they used to. Like, Uber and Lyft have become synonymous with getting a ride, or a professional ride from somewhere. So to know that that was their game plan and that's what they've done, and then this is how you treat your customers, man. Not trying to be a cynic. I don't see a positive outcome on the horizon, but I genuinely hope for the McGinty's that they are able to find a way to get around this. And then that as a society, we call out this bullshit when we see it, man. That's the biggest way to do it, is we have to call it out with our dollars, and we got to call it out with our platform. So this is me calling out Uber. Fuck you for your bullshit. So with that, let me know what you think down in the comments, man. Do you think this is some bullshit? Do you think this is America? Let me know.